Dear friends, this is a gift that offering ourselves to come to a retreat is first of all to treat ourselves. To treat ourselves, giving us a chance to rest, giving us a chance to connecting with oneself, and also connecting with nature, with the stillness, the calm that is also present for us. I know that a lot of us, we have in our daily life, there is always appointments that we have to meet, projects that we have to tackle, targets that we have to arrive at. And therefore, a lot of stress and tension can be born within our physical body, as well as our mind can always be actively running from project to project, running from targets. But at the same time, we still have to learn to live life, and we still have to learn to enjoy life. The Buddha have shared with us that as a practitioner, we also have an appointment. And this appointment, we should meet at least a few times a day. And this appointment is the appointment with life. And the appointment in life asks us to be present for life. When we come back to our in-breath, what is naturally happening is we are guiding the mind home to the body. The breath is like the bridge, that bridge that helps guide the mind home to the body. And to practice mindful breathing is a practice to allow ourselves to be more alive. We are always breathing. Breathing is life. Wherever you go, your breath follows you. As long as you are breathing, we have a chance to practice. So we don't have to wait to be in a meditation hall. We don't have to wait to come to this retreat to practice. Actually, as long as you are breathing, you have the right to practice. You have the right to guide the mind home to the body. A lot of the times we are always in our mind, and we may not be very present. Our mind is in the left, in the right, to the future or to the past. And therefore our body may be not cared for, or even our mind is not being cared for. And the first practice of mindfulness is to generate the energy of mindfulness. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the capacity to be present, to know what is happening in the very here and the now. What is happening in the here and the now inside of us? We have feelings, we have perceptions, we have thinkings that if we are more mindful of, they can be presented by our words, our actions in a more skillful way. So mindfulness here is not just a tool. What we learn in the practice is mindfulness is a way of life. We all eat, we all walk, we all talk, we all communicate, we all work, but there is a way of doing it that can be more peaceful and more compassionate towards oneself as well as towards our colleagues, our company, our family. And to allow ourselves to be more mindful in our daily life, we have practices to apply so that the habit of mindfulness can be more powerful. Mindfulness is a source of energy that all of us have. And if we have it, we can tap into it at any moment. And if we are new, we need to train and we need to let the seed, we call it the seed of mindfulness, we have to water it daily so that this seed can grow stronger every day, so that when we need, we can tap into this practice and energy of mindfulness. But first, we don't wait till we suffer till we practice. The easiest way to practice is when we are happy or when there is not too much turbulence inside of us. But if there is, no problem. We have a collective energy of mindfulness in the community that we can rely on. We can be an example for the ones next to us, and we can rely on also the practice of the ones who have the practice inside of their daily life. Today I will share the very basic and fundamental practices so that we can enjoy our time while we are here in Plum Village. The practice of meditation has two wings. It's like a bird that relies on the two wings to fly. And the first wing of meditation is learning to stop. Samatha. Stopping is not physical stopping, but stopping is also the stopping inside the mind, the discord that is happening every day, every night. There is a non-stop radio station inside of us. And as a practitioner, we learn to tune the radio station. We learn to direct our thinking. And the first practice of stopping is whenever we hear the sound of the bell in Plum Village. Whether it is the bell in the hall or the activity bell outside, when we hear the bell, it is an invitation. The bell is inviting you to stop and to come back to your in-breath and your out-breath. Coming back to your in-breath and out-breath is an act of allowing life to be present. So whatever we are doing, either we are walking, we are talking, drinking a cup of tea, if we hear the sound of the bell, it is an invitation for us to stop and to come back to our breath. Let's say we are eating and we hear the sound of the bell, we don't have to pause. We should relax, put the spoon down, put our tension down, and come back and be one with the breath. It is not an act, it is a practice. And when we come back to the breathing and we fully arrive in this in-breath, in this out-breath, we allow life to be present. Bringing the mind home to the body gives the mind a chance to recollect itself, to concentrate itself in the present. So whenever we hear the sound of the bell, please allow yourself to enjoy at least 3 in-breath and out-breath. Sometimes we may forget because it's not yet a habit. But if we see the ones around us stopping, that is what is inviting us. We are invited to stop, rest, and take refuge in the in-breath and the out-breath. So listening to the bell is an invitation. And the bell is a dear friend in the monastery. Whenever we hear the sound of the bell, it is the voice calling us home to the present. And we need this constant reminder so that we can continuously develop the seed of mindfulness inside of us. Another practice that we have and we will allow ourselves is to sitting meditation. Sitting meditation is one of the two very basic practices in Plum Village. And first and foremost, to sit is to do nothing. When we have a chance to sit, we are allowing ourselves the space to recognize what is happening in the body and the mind. And first we have to learn to sit so that we are comfortable. If we choose to sit on the cushion, we need to know how to sit so that there is not too much pain. In Plum Village, the mat and the cushion is a friend to us. It allows us to generate peace and mindfulness in our daily life. So you might see before the monks and nuns sit, they would bow to the cushion. When I first came to Plum Village, I'm like, why are they bowing to a cushion? And I just followed, I just did it. But then I learned that gratitude is also part of the practice. We don't take for granted even sitting meditation. So the mat and the cushion is a condition for us to generate mindfulness in our daily life. So when we see that the cushion and the mat is also a part of the practice, then we don't take for granted and we put more care and more attention into the practice. So we bow and then we find a cushion that is suitable for our height, and we sit on the cushion so that there is an angle that allows our two knees to also touch the mat. And there's at least 3 ways if we choose to sit cross-legged. If you are a yogi and you're very flexible, you might know the full lotus position. This is the full lotus position. And in the full lotus position, your buttock and your 2 knees is firmly 1 on the cushion and 2 on the mat. You allow your upper back, the trunk, to be upright. And the breathing can happen and flow very naturally. And in this posture, all suddenly from the tip of our head to our neck, our back is all in one line. But if we are not flexible, we have the half lotus, either side, the left foot or the right foot, 1 foot on the other. And if that is still too difficult, do not fear. There's another easier posture that is just 1 foot in front of the other. And it allows still the same principle of 3 points onto the earth. And what we have to pay attention to is the shoulders, the back, and the head. So when we find our posture on our cushion, we right away bring the attention to the body. We find the center, the balance. And from our head, we are not leaning back or facing forward, but right in the center, you can imagine like a string from the tip of our head connecting to our neck and to our back, all in one line. And we can rest our two hands on our thighs or in front of us, one hand in front of the other. But most importantly is the relaxation. You may have to come back from time to time in our meditation to check where there is tension. I always bring my attention first to my shoulders, because whenever we are tense, whenever we are agitated or we are stressed, the shoulder holds a lot of tension. And we can relax the shoulders, relax the arms. And if this posture is not suitable for us, we can sit on our two knees like this, with the cushion between, also allowing the back to be also upright but relaxed. And if we find that we are not yet flexible enough for the two sides our knees to touch the mat, we may like to bring a cushion and put it under one of our knees. This way, throughout this session of sitting meditation, we are not forcing our body too much. And believe me, when I first started meditation, at first it felt sometimes like a battle with my own body. But the more I ease into the posture and I allow myself the practice to happen, your body will adapt and you will become more flexible in the sitting. And your body will find the center and the ease in it. So that's why before the sitting start, we come 10 to 5 minutes earlier so that we find the right posture for ourselves, giving ourselves the chance to check in with our physical body where there's tension and to relax it. And if we sit on a chair for the sitting meditation, we also sit upright. We also have 3 points of contact, our buttocks and our 2 feet firmly on the ground. Because the body also represents the mind. In meditation, we can find and we can be aware that the mind and the body is a representation of each other. So if we allow ourselves to be more upright for the sitting meditation, it allows our mind to also be more concentrated and present. If we relax too much in sitting, we will fall asleep. And it's okay to fall asleep, nothing wrong with that. Maybe our body is very tired and we need to rest. That is what our body is telling us. But the more we practice, we allow the awareness to be more alive in our sitting. So when we sit and we choose to sit on a chair, give ourselves the chance to sit upright for the 30 minutes of sitting meditation. This way, we are giving the mind also the concentration it needs by the practice of the upright posture. And when we sit, first we have to relax. Being upright doesn't mean we have to be tense. Being upright, there is a relaxation in it. There is a softness in the stability. And when we can relax our posture, then our sitting becomes more enjoyable. We have to remember and we have to understand that to practice, there should be an element of enjoyment in it. We don't have to suffer because we practice. We don't have to strive for enlightenment. We may think we are coming to this retreat for 7 days and we will be enlightened afterwards. Good luck. I've been a monk for 17 years now. I'm not yet there. But there is nothing wrong with that. Because what I have learned from the Buddha and from our teacher, that enlightenment is also enlightenment of something. Awakening is awakening of something. So we have to be awake to the little things that is first in front of us. So connecting to the breath is the enlightenment of mindful breathing. Being present is the enlightenment of being alive. That is insight. When we breathe, that has mindfulness, and we can connect with our body and with the life that is happening, insight manifests. What is this insight? This insight is that we are alive. And when we are alive, there is an appointment with life that we need to care for, and we need to nourish. We need to nourish ourselves. When we were younger, we had others who cared for us. Our mother, our father, our siblings, our teachers. And slowly we grow, we become teachers, we become leaders, we become professional workers, and we take on a lot of responsibility. And we start to care for others. But if we don't have the mindfulness of caring for oneself, we will meet a point in our career where we will burn out. We may feel very empty because our fuel, our capacity of love and care becomes empty. And we don't have the energy anymore to offer. So that is why to come back and to take care of oneself is as important as to learn to love and care for another. So when we practice mindful breathing and we practice sitting meditation, it is not for anyone. It is for you. And when we sit for 30 minutes like this, nobody has the right to bother you. You have 30 minutes of stillness and of peace. As a practitioner, the mind can be very busy as a beginner. And as a practitioner, we are like the gatekeeper of the mind. When thoughts come, we don't push it away. We recognize, this is a project that I am thinking of. Now, I learn to let go of it, and I just connect and come back to the breath and come back to the present. This is the practice we do at every minute, every second. Whatever thought that manifests, we allow it, but we become aware of it. Awareness of thought. And we can dwell on the thought, but then if we become carried away by the thought, we come back, and what is our base? What is our foundation? That is the breath. We just connect to the in-breath and the out-breath. So here we have a new relationship towards thinking. Thinking, we can be very productive in our thoughts, in our thinking. But most of the time, our thinking can just carry us away, and we can be just daydreamers every day, every night. So the practice of mindfulness is bringing ourselves home to the present, allowing the mind to be with the body, allowing the mind also a chance for calmness and ease. When there is calm in the mind, calm in the body will also manifest. So when we have this practice of sitting meditation, after connecting and with our posture, finding the stable position, right away, we may like to close our eyes, or we just focus in front of us and bring our attention to the in-breath and the out-breath. At first, we have to just be aware. We have to recognize this is an in-breath, this is an out-breath. So the first practice is recognizing this is in-breath and this is out-breath. Because like I shared, we're always breathing. But we just need to give the attention to it. And once we are one with the in-breath and out-breath, then the breathing become mindful breathing. So we may dwell on this practice, just aware this is in-breath and this is out-breath. We don't have to force our breathing. Our breathing is always happening. But at the beginning, it may feel like we are pushing it a little bit, or we are making it breathe out slower. We may feel like we are in control. But what may be happening is our breath suddenly is aware that we are aware of our breath. And the breathing is a part of life, so it always wants to do the best for ourselves, for our body. So when we are aware of the breathing, the breath is activated to breathe in more deeper and more slower. So first we become aware of the breath. The second exercise in the mindful breathing is to develop our concentration. So we learn to follow our in-breath from the beginning to the end. Our breath is happening and our mind is taking refuge in the breath. And with the mindfulness that we have developed, we stay with the in-breath. We follow it from the beginning to the end. And we don't allow the breath to take off. We guide it with the out-breath from the beginning to the end. And we practice following the in-breath from the beginning to the end, and the out-breath from the beginning to the end. Therefore, we develop a concentration, the concentration of bringing the mind focusing on one action. Therefore, when we can practice like this, our breath has a chance to breathe in deeper, and it also has a chance to come and breathe out slower. So the first two practices can be done on a daily basis. Wherever we are in this retreat, we may find ourselves standing waiting somewhere. Why not use that time to come and be aware of the in-breath and the out-breath, and stay with the in-breath and the out-breath. So let us all practice together as we listen to one sound of the bell. We all be aware of the in-breath and the out-breath, and then we follow the in-breath and the out-breath from the beginning to the end. this stillness and this calm is very healing for ourselves. In the peace and in the stillness and in the calm, we allow ourselves to rest. Allowing our body to relax is also the practice in meditation. The tension that builds up, if not cared for, can lead to many illness. Therefore, as a practitioner, we become aware of our body. When we have a chance to sit, it's also a chance of connecting with our physical body. Recognizing where there is pain and where there is tension. Our body may be yelling at us, telling us to pay attention to it, giving it the space and the time to relax. So practicing meditation is also this offering to the body, recognizing where is there pain and where is there tension. In mindfulness, we bring our mind towards attention to the pain, and we let it ease, and we let the breathing relax the tension. Today we will have the practice of total relaxation after lunch. It is the practice, it's the easiest practice. We just lay down and do nothing. And someone will guide us, even sing lullabies, allowing us to fully relax. It may sound wonderful, but to relax is an art. To know how to relax is not as easy as it sounds. Most of the time we may give ourselves a free day, but then we make our free day fuller than a normal day. Because we said, now it's me time. So I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do this, I need to plan that. And then our day becomes even busier than a work day. So in the community of Plum Village, we have a very holy day in a week. And this day, nobody can change it. That day is called Lazy Day. We have one lazy day in this retreat. And we will have a chance to see what we do with this lazy day. Do we allow ourselves to fully enjoy it? Or do we make a lot of plan for it? It is the challenge of our time. It is the challenge of our generation. Because we always say, time is money. So we need to be very productive. But we are now recognizing that health is as important as productivity. To have health, if we want to be productive, we have to have stability and health. So therefore, we have to ask ourselves, how are we caring and how are we nourishing ourselves? How are we taking care of our happiness? And the practice of mindfulness is also the practice of recognizing simple happiness. We may have happiness that is very far away. It's a goal we want to reach. And we think once we reach that goal, then we are happy. But after that, then there's a next. And after the next one, there's another. So then we may finally ask ourselves, when are we allowed to be happy? So this practice, the mindfulness practice here, is learning to be happy in every moment. Recognizing the simple joy in our life. We have a chance to have 3 meals a day. And when we practice eating, that in itself is a meditation. When we have a chance to eat in the practice center here, we will learn not to eat our projects, not to eat our thinking, but we really try to learn to eat the food that is in front of us. Everything in Plum Village is tuned down a little bit slower. It doesn't mean as a practitioner you're not allowed to be fast, but it's easier to practice mindfulness when we do it a little bit slower. So when we eat today for lunch, the practice begins once we start to serve the food. We learn to eat in moderation. We eat enough. Sometimes our eyes are bigger than our stomach. We really try not to waste food when we are practicing in the monastery, in a practice center. We serve what is enough for us. And when we are in front of the food before starting, we allow ourselves to connect with the food a little bit. The second wing of meditation is looking deeply, stopping and then looking deeply. So when we have the plate or the bowl of food, we can see the hard work. We can see all the conditions that have come together for the food to be right in front of us. We use the eye of meditation to see beyond. And in this practice, it also touches the seed of gratitude. Do we know how many people suffer because of starvation? There are children that every day just to have a piece of bread is a miracle. So for us to recognize the fortune that we have in front of us is the practice of gratitude. And I promise you, when you have gratitude, the food tastes better right away. Because the relationship with what is we are bringing inside the body, we are mindful of our choices. We are developing, nourishing the compassion inside of us. So the food doesn't just nourish the body, but it nourishes the spirit. And when we eat, we also allow ourselves the space to chew more mindfully, to chew more slowly. I invite you to chew 25 to 30 times. It's an invitation, not forcing. But there's a practice that was very helpful for myself when I first started. I invite you, when you make a spoonful and you put the food inside your mouth and start chewing, we may have the tendency, a natural habit, our hands is preparing the next one already. So put the spoon, put the fork, put the chopstick down and chew and be aware of the food inside that we are chewing. So we are training ourselves to be more present. The natural tendency may be preparing the next one already. That is the habit energy of moving forward. So today I invite you, you take one spoon, you put it down, and you enjoy. Because we have time here. Time is for you here. We have space here for you to enjoy the meal. So take the time to really just enjoy the simple taste of broccoli, of brown rice, of white rice. And we may become more mindful of the food that we are intaking. Therefore, we allow ourselves the gratitude to manifest more in our daily life. So food, a meal, is a way of life, right? Eating is not just fueling up energy for us to be more productive. But eating, what we consume, is also what we produce. what we want in the world is also by what we are consuming. Please meditate on this. Please take a moment to look deeply into the practice of consumption in today's day, in our society. So when we come back to the body, we are also nourishing the spiritual body inside of us. All of us have a spiritual quality. Stability, peace needs to be nourished. Happiness, joy needs to be nourished. And when we connect to ourselves, we also be in touch with the suffering. All of us have suffering. That is what we can all find in common. All of us have work we need to do to transform our suffering. There is suffering inside and there is suffering around us. But in Buddhism, suffering is a noble truth. Why is it so noble, we may ask? It is noble because we can learn from our suffering. If we learn from our suffering, we have more understanding. When we connect to our suffering, we may understand our parents more. We may understand our society more. So in suffering, there is also the teacher leading us out of suffering. So to have time and to sit, to allow what manifests inside of us to come into the surface, that is meditation. So we learn to stop in our daily life, and we also have a chance to look deeply. When we look deeply, we can see the root of the suffering. That is the second noble truth. There is a root to it. There is also what is feeding the suffering. We have to identify what is feeding our suffering. Because everything needs food to stay alive. Suffering also needs food for it to stay alive. And once we recognize what the root and what is feeding it, then we have insight and we know what to do and what not to do. And that is the path of practice. And that's why in Plum Village we say mindfulness is not just a tool. Mindfulness is a way of life. We learn to apply everything that we are instructed, and we put it into our daily life. When we brush our teeth, we can brush our teeth with joy or with suffering. Brushing your teeth may be one of the most happiest moments because you don't have a toothache at this moment. There's no pain. The teeth allows us to enjoy wonderful food. So these are the simple and the simple happiness that is present right here, right now. We connect to our physical body. We are well. Our eyes can see the wonders of life, the colors, our loved ones. Our heart is still beating. We are still physically well to be present. And therefore we have to learn to care and to nourish it. Another very basic practice, fundamental practice in Plum Village is walking meditation. We all walk, everyone walks, but the way we walk can be different. When we are angry, our walk carries anger. You can see it in the person. You can hear it in the stomping. When we are overwhelmed, we are rushed, our way of walking is also very different. So therefore, mindfulness of walking is a fundamental practice in nourishing our mindfulness in every day. When we practice walking meditation, we bring our full awareness to the sole of our feet. We are aware that we are making steps on this beautiful planet. Walking is also an opportunity to connect to this wonderful planet Earth that we are on. Do you know that every step we are taking is the seal we are putting on this planet? And our walk can embody peace and calmness. And it can leave the mark of stillness and of peace. If you have been around someone who embodies peace and stillness, you can see just in their way of walking, peace is very alive. So when we walk, we can generate peace, we can generate freedom. We walk, we learn to walk like a free person. So when I walk, I become aware of my step. I become aware of my breath. We may combine our breathing with our steps. When we take 3 steps, we combine it with our in-breath. As I breathe in, and I breathe out. Your body and your mind in unison. And your steps becomes present and become solid. And every step that we walk with mindfulness allows us to arrive. Where do we arrive? We arrive in the present moment. I have arrived. I am home. You may have seen this calligraphy by our teacher, or you may have heard this song, but it is the first fruit of meditation in the Plum Village tradition. I have arrived. I am home. I have arrived in the present moment, and I feel at home in this present moment. So the walking meditation is a chance for us to connect with ourselves and to connect with the community and with the earth. And when we practice walking meditation, there's also a relaxation in our body. And this walking can be very healing, can be very restful. Our teacher always says that in Plum Village, there's only one style of walking, and that is walking meditation. But it is so hard. So we all have to contribute to this practice. We all have to make a commitment to learn to arrive more and more in our steps. We will walk collectively as a group, as a community. And when we walk as a community, we learn to flow in this river of practice. There's 2 styles of walking meditation. One is with the community, where we walk at a normal pace, and the other is we have slow walking meditation. I don't think in this retreat there is the formal practice of slow walking. But we may find a time and a space in this retreat, maybe on the lazy day. And we practice slow walking. It's also the practice of deep concentration. We pick from one tree to another, or from one distance to another. And the practice is one breath with one step. And as I breathe in, I just make one step. And I fully arrive in that step. And as I breathe out, I walk, I make the next step. It's not mechanical. We don't have to force it, but we just combine it with the in-breath and the out-breath. And when we practice slow like this, we allow the concentration to really, really be developed. And we truly arrive with every step. And when we can arrive, it's like a victory of present moment. Our teachers sometimes encourage us, if you've made that step and you haven't arrived yet, stay for a little bit and just come back to the in-breath and the out-breath. And allow yourself to really be there. And then you make the next step. And in Plum Village, if you walk this slow, it's normal. There's a place, there's a community that allows us to develop this energy of practice. So mindful walking can be applied in this retreat, but we also hope that you will develop this practice, that you can bring it home when you leave the retreat. We know friends who have shared with us that from meeting to meeting, they say when they're too stressful and there's so much on their plate, they use this practice to bring the mind and body to one and to rest. And they walk from one meeting to the next in the style of walking meditation. So it is possible. And we all have the capacity to walk more free, more stable, and more solid. So thank you so much, dear friends, for being here and practicing with us. Let us listen to 3 sound of the bell to end our session together. Allow ourselves to relax, become aware of the in-breath and the out-breath.